The Lauren Agee case was hastily closed by authorities, but many questions remain. Come behind the curtain with private investigator Sheila Wysocki as she uncovers the truth about what happened to Lauren. This is Without Warning. Warning: the following episode contains details about sexual violence and elements that are graphic in nature.
On this episode, you will hear audio of the autopsy report being translated loosely to Sherry and Mike Smith. The private investigator going over the report was brought in by an attorney that contacted Sherry and Mike. The things to listen for in this audio: the false claim that a coroner showed up on the scene. There is no documentation of that. The narrative that Lauren fell out of the hammock on the marina side of the cliff and floated to the second cove. The medical examiner, Thomas Deering, was told what happened to Lauren prior to an investigation. Of course, everyone knows now there was no investigation. I want you to listen for the fear in Mike and Sherry's tone of making authorities upset with them. Listen to the private investigator who was a former police officer in Nashville. He shares with Sherry that he would tell the medical examiner what exactly happened, and that was documented in his cases. The idea of an autopsy is for the body to tell the medical examiner what happened. This is not a revelation. This is just a confirmation of what everyone knows. Listen for the exchange between the private investigator and Sherry about poking the tiger, and how DeKalb holds all the cards. Sherry is being reprimanded about asking questions regarding Lauren's death. All along, I have said that this podcast is about bringing you behind the curtain, seeing what an actual investigation is like. It is messy and ugly. It's not tied up in a nice little bow and has an ending. You are coming along and seeing what really happens. I am not indicting the police, but showing what happens in an investigation, in particular, this investigation. There are many heroes in blue. Chris Yarchuck and Ryan Melanson are two. Those are the officers you want showing up on a case. This podcast is giving you full transparency, and it is real and it is messy. I do want to thank the people listening and for those who have turned over tapes and given tips. I am always shocked when I hear from the campers themselves in their own words. Next episode, you will hear from one of the campers directly. Now let's listen to the autopsy review. Put yourself in Sherry and Mike's shoes while you listen. This autopsy review was a few weeks after Lauren's death.
Contributory cause of death is possible drowning. I don't understand that. That's a question I'm going to have to ask. I'll show you that later. In the manner of death is accident. I don't understand that. That's something I'm going to have to go back and ask him. And to kind of explain the dynamic.
Right.
You want a highlighter or something?
Do you have a pen? Just a pen would be awesome. Perfect. Just a regular. I forgot I'm thinking that's all. Is this something we need to? It is a actual certification kind of.
Well, actually, this one's certified. That's just a copy of the certificate.
Okay, cool.
A color copy. Here's the dynamic of what happens. When the sheriff's department calls, or the police department in Nashville, and they have a body, in these outside counties they call a coroner, which is sometimes not even a doctor. An appointed person to go out and say, yep, they're dead. So we'll send them to Nashville to the state medical examiner's office and have an autopsy done. So what that coroner did there, I don't know. Other than say, yeah, she needs to go to the coroner, to the medical examiner's office. If it's an attended death, like in a nursing home, like my mother died in a nursing home, the coroner doesn't even come, the medical examiner doesn't. If it's an unattended, expected death, the coroner can sign off. And like if they've got cancer and they're at home and they're not in a medical facility, the coroner can sign off and say, okay, you can go on to the funeral. If it's an unattended death, unexpected death, then the state of Tennessee requires an autopsy be done, barring any religious. I'm assuming in this case, and again, we won't know until we get his proof of what exactly J.C. Wall, who was a doctor, and he's the county medical examiner is what they call him, he did not do an autopsy.
Okay.
Normally, there's not but one autopsy, and there's no indication that an autopsy had previously been done when Dr. Deering did this one. Okay? So, what Dr. Deering found with the blunt force injuries to the head, and I'll talk to you just in the back, there's a diagram that shows all the injuries, so of the external injuries. But what he found is that there was abrasion on the right side of the forehead, tan abrasion of the lip, a large subgaleal hemorrhage, which is inside the brain, fractured right temporal bone, a diffuse subdural hemorrhage, which is inside the brain, and a focal subretinal hemorrhage, which is in the sac between the brain and the skull.
Now, this is the guy in the captain.
No,
This is Nashville.
this is the state medical examiner. Okay, and he's the one he's actually there's 3 or 4 assistant doctors to him. He's the actual doctor for the facility. The one that's in charge, I guess, would be a better. The trauma to the torso is her bilateral fractured ribs 1 through 9, posteriorly and right, or left 1 through 9, which there's 1 through 9 on the left side of her body, and numbers 9 through 11 on the other side of the body. The fractures are in the back. So what that tells me is that she actually hit here, or here, if you think of hitting in, these 9 are broken and these 9 through 11 down here are broken. And they're broken toward her back.
On this side, because her face was this side.
Left side. Well, I'll explain how. That doctor, I can't think of his name, there was a medical examiner here in Nashville a long time, many years ago, that explained the coup counter coup. What happens is when you hit, everything shifts back this way. So it's not uncommon to see the bruising and the hemorrhaging on the other side, as well as the side to hit on, but it's just kind of, if you think about a basketball hitting, what happens to the air inside the basketball when it hits the ground? It forces it back up. So the air hits, and then it comes back and hits over top of the basketball, makes the basketball bounce. So that one statement right there, those 2 statements, or number P1, tells me that she went off the cliff. It would take an immense amount of pressure for her body to break that way. Okay?
So she fell from a high up altitude.
So from some distance.
Okay.
I know that in infants, they did a study many years ago, falls from beds on the tile floors, and there were virtually no injuries. So, then you got to take her weight and add a height to that. She fell from a distance.
But it had to hit something hard, not water.
I would think that it had to hit something hard.
Okay.
I'm going to agree with their theory that she hit you've been there, so you'll know the face of the cliff, or the bluff, comes down, and then there's some rock, kind of a short bed of rock, and then there's the water, right? You're not supposed to see the picture.
To me, it's more like this, and then here's the water, here's the top, and it's just got this. I didn't, and I was looking for that, and I didn't necessarily on that side. Maybe there's a spot, I don't know. I didn't see it.
Well,
I get,
I'm gonna assume that this occurred, of course, we don't know which side she went off. I'm gonna assume that she went off on the
Marina side.
marina. I'm just, for the sake of argument, I'm gonna assume that. Let me,
Do the currents run that way?
I have that problem. I have a problem with how she would have gotten up there. Not to say it's impossible, I don't know. I mean, I just don't. That's not something, that's a question I have that, something we're gonna have to look at. They were generating water that day. To me, that would pull currents from whatever Bear Creek, whatever creek that is, which is really a river coming down into the main channel.
Right. Well, up from where they found her was the water runs through that creek as well. If they're pulling water, even if they're not pulling water, there's a waterfall right up from where they found her. So, I mean, the water is running the opposite direction.
Again, I have a problem with how she got back, okay?
But the detective immediately writes it off as, well, no, she could have gone up there. Well, the current was flowing that way, and then the boats pushed her up in there. I'm like,
From what I've heard, and I've heard mainly from you, but from what I've heard, I have a problem with what the detective said. I'm just saying, I have a problem with that.
yeah.
Now, when I get his report, maybe I won't. I mean, he might can clear a lot of this up when I get his report. I don't know. Right now, I got a problem with it. I'll bring a picture of the bluff up.
Okay. I think you got all mine.
Well, this is on Google Earth, and
Okay.
it's actually a pretty decent picture of the bluff. This is the marina side of the bluff. Okay, see this shell here? If what happened is their theory,
Right.
she can come off the bluff, she can hit this shell right here and then roll in the water with no problem at all. Here's a problem I have that I don't have an answer to, okay? If she does this, as she hits and rolls into the water, which is virtually gonna be that fast, she's still gonna be trying to, and why have we not got the water in our lungs? Okay? Why is it not noted in here that there's water? I don't know. Again, may have a better answer, when I get the paperwork.
I mean, from that photo, I see what you're saying, but being there at the top, I don't remember seeing the shore.
Well,
because it kind of,
and again-
you see that middle section kind of comes out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it just,
There's like an overhang.
Yeah, it's a cut, it's where the water's cut through the,
yeah. So
it's where the water rises.
that middle section was,
The issue becomes, okay, what was the summer pool, was the lake at summer pool? It had rained quite a bit before you got up there, so.
Right.
Was the level of the lake higher?
I thought it was a little higher than that. I don't remember it being like
Yeah,
that.
this picture's 2008.
Yeah.
But that is there. What if it's 6
Just
inches
below
under
the
the
water,
water?
yeah.
You're still gonna hit it. A
Yeah.
foot under the water, you're still gonna hit it from that high. It just depends on then those are answers we don't have right now. On that day, what was the level of the lake? So that, it's there, we know it's there. It's there on every bluff. There's Elm Hill Marina, the cliffs of Elm Hill out here. So anyway, back to this. She's fractured her thoracic number 10, T10. So she broke her back. There was,
She felt like thump,
well, yeah,
like dead fall, not rolling, not just like stuff. Per se.
you don't know. I mean, let's say that she's completely sober, not intoxicated, and she, for the sake of argument, looking for a place to go to the bathroom, she gets disoriented and she steps off the cliff, which is a normal reaction. Does she have time to flip her body trying to find ground? Probably.
Somebody had heard a scream on that side, and all the roads were
Maybe she
there.
didn't scream. I mean, I don't know. See,
Yeah.
we don't know. And that's the biggest problem we have right now is that we don't know. We don't know what Jeremy's found out. We don't know what Jeremy's not found out. And epidural and subdural hemorrhages of the cord. That tells me that had she lived, she'd stay paralyzed. Okay? Multiple abrasions and contusions of the lower extremities, right upper arm and left posterior hand and forearm. Okay, the back of her left hand and forearm. So again, to me, that just, it makes sense. Again, I don't know, I'm just trying to theorize, which is getting us all in trouble at this point. Is she's trying to catch herself as she goes now. Okay? Now here's the autopsy part. Again, at the top, this blunt force injuries. I buy that cause of death without a problem. Possible drowning, there's nothing in here to indicate a possible drowning. Other than she was found in the water, and that could be his theory for possible drowning. And circumstances of death, manner of death is an accident. I'm going to say that he was led down that path to accident. I've been there over 1,000 times, not exaggerating in once, but I've been there over 1,000 times and told my story to the medical examiner previous to the autopsy, and it had an impact on the decision of the medical examiner. It just did. That's how it works. They also send, in some cases where there's not a county coroner, they will send one of the investigators from their office out, and then that investigator gives them the story. You know, if I was a detective, they could not talk to me. They look at the thing, I let them know what I found. They just make their own mind up of what they found, and then they would go back and tell the medical examiner. They'd write a report up and tell the medical examiner what they saw. So when she got to the Forensic Science Center here in, it's the Center for Forensic Medicine now, here in Nashville, she had a bracelet on. I'm sorry, they put a bracelet on her, but when they started the autopsy, she had a bracelet on. She had on a black tank top, black animal print bra, pink shorts. That's been a contention that she didn't have any. I think you were saying pink trunks or pink swimming.
Color pink.
So
she doesn't own any.
Well, she had on pink shorts when she got here. Maybe they were Hannah's. Who knows? But she had on pink shorts and black pants. She had a belly button piercing, and her ears are pierced. She had pink nail polish on the left 1 and 2 fingers only, and dark red toenail polish. Apparently they didn't do x-rays. And there was no evidence of any medical intervention like surgery or anything that she would, they would have tried to do to like CPR if they put it endotracheal tube in, that would still be in. They wouldn't take that out before
the people that she was with on the bluff all said she had been cliff diving that day, and that she had
jumping off the cliff,
yeah, and had injured herself. And then they also said they gave her pain medicine or aspirin or ibuprofen or stuff for her pain. No one other than the suspect have seen her cliff diving. There's no pictures, there's no video, there's no
Where
nothing.
did you get that information?
From Jeremy Taylor.
I don't know that Jeremy Taylor told me it was raining outside. That at this point, I would believe him based upon all the different crap I heard. I want to see that in the report.
My question is, if they were looking at her brain, could they tell if she'd had some damage from the day, like a concussion?
I don't know if they would be able to date it that further, any from 10 o'clock that morning to 10 o'clock the next morning. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So all of her internal injuries are documented here. When they did the autopsy, and it describes how they did the autopsy. She had a 1 1/8 inch abrasion just at the right eyebrow. The forehead showed multiple purple small macules, which I'm gonna assume are scratches, but I can,
Rocks?
makes sense to me.
Okay, so we had a lot of external
injuries.
Injuries, okay.
Daily Harvest has come on board to sponsor Without Warning. My mornings are like hurricanes. There's always something going on. I feel like I'm juggling and trying to fit in a meal. Generally, I don't have a clue on what I'm going to eat. Daily Harvest has taken all of the mystery of trying to find something to eat in the morning off the table. My breakfast has been completely transformed ever since I started getting Daily Harvest. I no longer have to research what I'm going to eat in the morning. It takes 5 minutes max, and I have real organic fruits and vegetables before I've even finished my morning routine. Daily Harvest delivers carefully sourced, chef-crafted smoothies, savory bowls, overnight oats, and more. Everything stays fresh in your freezer until you're ready to eat it. Choose from more than 50 nourishing options for any time of day. Ready-to-blend smoothies, savory harvest bowls, soups, and more. Each single serving cup takes one step to prepare. Just add water or milk to a smoothie or heat up a harvest bowl. If you're like me and you like sweet things, I suggest starting with the strawberry and peach smoothie. You add a little almond milk and it is fantastic. All of Daily Harvest ingredients are carefully sourced for maximum nourishment and flavor. You can actually see all of the ingredients when you open the cup. Daily Harvest is the easiest, most delicious way to load up on fruits and vegetables first thing in the morning, before bed, and anytime in between. Go to daily-harvest.com and enter promo code WOW to get 3 cups free in your first box. That's promo code WOW for 3 free Daily Harvest cups at daily-harvest.com. daily-harvest.com.
Anything in here that's of no worth other than just the obvious, or just something you go, well, this is kind of weird?
Well, I have a question. Okay, so they're thinking that she rolled into the water. I'm just wondering if she just landed there.
Landed in the water?
No, landed where she was. See, we've always had the question. We think her body was moved to where it was found, in the water. So looking at this,
How could she have landed where she was in the water if she was back up in the cove?
No, I mean,
but that's what I mean. We think that she was, wherever it is she fell,
on the shore.
that she was there, and then
Then they may have moved her up there?
Yes. Is there anything
That's
in this?
possible, but there's nothing in this, and it wouldn't be anything in this to show that. Here's a macule. It's just kind of a spotty bruising or spotty contusions, which is indicative of rocks. Okay? So, I mean, if you want to go back over here to about the 3rd page from the back, well, more than that. There's a diagram of her injuries. It'll be right before that. There you go. And it kind of spells out what he's saying in this as far as the external injuries. And that's just a standard diagram. I misspoke. It's not a diagram of her body, but it's a diagram of where the injuries would be on her body if this diagram was her body. A lot of it, it's written where you can't read it, but it makes sense if you go back to this stuff that he's written in these paragraphs to find it here.
You know, it didn't mark anything about her. Remember she had all those marks on her arm? It's not on here at all.
Is that what this is here? These little marks?
No, I mean, remember she was in the casket, all these things right here?
I didn't see those, but I know,
Well,
I didn't pull her.
there is some over here on her left arm,
Well,
which is going to be on this side. Be right this side, right here is what I'm talking
well,
about.
in the casket, it was this arm where Bree was, and there were these marks all over her arm. I don't know, it's just not on here.
Yeah, it's not here. And again, this guy's science, he didn't give a shit about DeKalb County. He don't care about Jeremy Taylor. He don't care about y'all. He cared about Lauren and documenting what was going on with Lauren.
Okay.
It goes through the internal injuries at the top of the next page, page 3. Again, it goes over what he's got on the other. What I had to figure out, it says within the torso there is a bruise to the septum, and there's 40 milliliters of serosanguous fluid in the right chest. I had to look serous fluid up to make sure that it wasn't lake water. It's not. It's actually a fluid that's in the blood. So it would be like an edema, pleurisy within your chest cavity where something inside broke when she hit, so that fluid leaked out. That's not a foreign fluid like lake water. That's the only, unless I see it here, and I've gone through this 15 times already, but unless I see it again as we go through it, that's the only fluid I can find in her lungs, except for, so then the external injuries, which are going to show on that diagram, talks about the string of the tampon. There's no fluid draining from the mouth or nose.
Did they remove the tampon?
I can't see him leaving it in there, but it doesn't say I removed the tampon. I don't know that it would say that.
Because the guy said he had sex with her. I just would wonder if there would be a remnant of that from the day before, or...
I don't know.
Yeah,
We don't see that's the
if
problem.
he did take it out, I'm sure he didn't keep it.
Yeah, they don't keep it as evidence because it was an accident.
They wouldn't have. He wouldn't have kept it.
I don't know why. It was an investigation.
But if they had it as an accident. They weren't looking, they didn't do nail...
Doesn't say anything about nail scrapings in there that I found. So, the mouth has got natural dentin and.
Okay.
Well, we didn't discuss anything.
Yes, all we're doing is reading what's on here. We're not.
Yeah.
I know. I just.
So...
Now if you come back to the laboratory report, there's actually two different. Here's a 176 and on the very first page, there's the ethanol alcohol volatiles. On that page is a 176. Okay, and then go back to the next to the last page. Is the same thing, same test. The difference is the type of specimen. So the femoral blood is the 176, the femoral artery, which is to be the leg blood. The vitreous blood, which I think is the heart blood, but I'll make sure,
Which is more accurate?
is a 217. I would go with the heart blood. I would use the heart blood, the vitreous blood, if I was in court. Is
Which
what I would
is
use.
the 1.17?
No, the
2.17.
0.217, which, if you remember when we talked, that's 3 1,000ths of a milligram from 22.
Right.
That's where we got 22.
When Jeremy was being so rude to us on the phone yesterday, he said her blood alcohol content was 0.17.
So he had seen the autopsy.
Yes. Even though he lied and said he hadn't.
That's not a problem if we have the autopsies, from his point of view.
What does it matter?
They gave it to us. I mean, that's complete ignorance that that's
Problem should be with the medical examiner, I guess.
Yeah,
They
that's
gave it.
where if he's had a problem with us having it, he should have a problem with it.
Let me ask you this. This was my contention, that while I'm trying to, there's specifics of the case I want to keep quiet, that now are out because you guys have the autopsy, so it kind of blew that whole thing. So now we know if she's got scratches under her left arm, and that's a clue later on down the road, since this is out, then now we can't use that. No,
You
that's
know,
not.
if, I'll answer that this way. If he hadn't been such an ass about the way he's treating you, then you would have had no reason to go over and try to get a copy of it.
Mhm.
You know, if he would have contacted you like he said he was gonna do every Thursday at 5 o'clock, if he would have kept y'all in a loop, if he would have said, hey, I'm telling you this, but I don't want it out, then you would have had no reason to be suspicious to try to go get this stuff on your own.
Right.
Again, there's not a homicide case that I've worked that I didn't hold stuff back from everybody.
Mhm.
That maybe me and my partner were the only ones that knew.
But you weren't a dick to the people.
Well, not all the time, no. Judging from this, it's the eyeball. But it says vitreous, and here's where I'm getting this, just so y'all know. The vitreous part of the eye, I would have had associated vitreous with a vein or the heart more than I would have the eyeball. So I'm gonna, just for the sake of argument, say that it was a fluid that they drew out of her eyeball to have tested. He says toxicology shows moderate ethanol. Another misnomer, and we've had this at the bottom of page 5. Another misnomer is when a body decomposes, it does not produce ethanol, alcohol. It produces methanol, methane. The ethanol is not going to be affected by decomposition. I will also say that in the amount of time that Lauren was in the water, there wasn't much decomposition anyway. So that would have been producing that gas to change it. It wouldn't have changed the ethanol to start with. It would have been a methanol.
Wasn't it in the 90s? Was the water cooler?
Oh, the water's a lot cooler. A whole lot cooler in that lake than the air temperature.
Mhm.
That's a cold lake. I've scuba dived in it. It's a cold.
And they've had a lot of rain, so it makes it.
Yeah. So then they give the summary of the case. That's what the doctor was told. Okay, I read that to you the other day.
Yeah.
The hammock partially hung out on the trees which overhung the water. This say, for the sake of argument, again, theorizing that she woke up, she went to get out of the hammock, she's hanging over the edge anyway. She gets out of the hammock and there she goes.
But
Not getting up to go pee, not getting, that would explain not having any shoes on. That would explain every bit of that.
was that hammock directly over where those rocks were?
I don't know, we haven't seen his pictures.
Okay.
A lot of again, and I've said this I know 100 times, we just won't know until we get his case file and look at his pictures. And
How long can he hold the case file?
They've got cases open over here next door since 1967. I think at this point, you're pissing him off, he's gonna keep it open. You're poking the bear. I said that last night. As long as you piss him off and give him a reason to push back, he's gonna push back. Is that right? Absolutely not. Does he hold the cards? Absolutely. We can't
This
change it.
30-year-old asshole holds the cards in our life. He has to answer to somebody higher.
The DeKalb County Sheriff's Office holds the cards right now and what's going on in this investigation. Again, and I know you're hearing me, I'm just not sure you're listening, is that when we get enough to show that he's a 30-year-old asshole that's screwing with y'all, then we go to the sheriff and to the DA and maybe leave the sheriff out and go to the DA. If that doesn't work, then we go to the media. If you go straight to the media, then that's going to piss the DA off. So there you're poking that bear. This has got to be done very strategically on our part. And I'll say on y'all's part, but I'm a part of this team, okay? And it has to be done very strategically. The only drug in her system is ethanol alcohol. So if they gave her any pain pills or pain medicine,
which they claim in the police report, from what I understand, they did.
acetaminophen, none detected.
But there was no semen found in her or anything like that.
There's no indication of that in this at all.
But did they check for that?
Don't know. That's a question you have to ask. I would, and I have said before, I would think that is a standard
I don't think, yeah.
they would look for
Especially-
anything
yeah.
foreign when they do the autopsy.
But they-
I wasn't there for the autopsy, so I can't speak to that.
So a question would be, when you do talk to this guy, is did they scrape under her nails and did they check her semen?
No, there's no indication that they scraped her nails. There's no indication of defense wounds. I mean, there is indication of some trying to catch yourself,
Right.
hitting her arm. That's probably not going to change. He may give us answers.
Lauren's family gives their full permission for any and all details to be shared in hope that the truth will come out. If you know anything at all, call 1-888-599-0008 or email tips@SheilaWysocki.com.